仏、ナメオミタ仏、ナモアミタ仏。はじめまして。よろしくお願いします。It is an honor to serve as the president of the oldest Buddhist Women's Association in the United States. BCSF BWA was organized in April 1900, known then as the Fujin Kai. Fujin means women in Japanese, Kai means association. The Butsudan behind me was brought to the United States by my Obachan. It is a Jodo Shinshu Butsudan, as the images flanking the Buddha are Shinran and his sensei Honen. This is the Obutsudan I grew up with. I know Obachan brought it from Japan because Oji-chan was a Zen Buddhist. Obachan was friendly, rather gregarious, with a wide circle of friends, and known to be a happy person. She enjoyed making manju and knitting. Once I got my driver's license, she would ask me to take her to her friends' homes to drop off manju and visit. Oji-chan was reputed to be very silent, a vegetarian who was very disciplined in his approach to living a hard Zen Buddhist life. While I look like my Oji-chan, I'm glad that my Obachan was a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. I went to Sunday school at Mountain View Buddhist Temple from age 6 to about 12. I learned how to Oshoko, about the Eightfold Path, about impermanence, the meaning of compassion and gratitude in Buddhism. I learned that there are different types of Buddhism, of which Jodo Shinshu was what my family practiced. The ministers were all men, and the Sunday school teachers were generally women and sometimes men. In all those years, the name Eshinni and Kakushinni never came up. It was not until I became a BCSF member and a member of the Buddhist Women's Association that the importance of Eshinni and Kakushinni became real to me. Eshinni as Shinran's wife and daughter Kakushinni created a home for Shinran's Jodo Shinshu teaching, Nishihon Ganji in Kyoto. That teaching for me is about being able to live the Dharma as part of life's daily routines, with awareness of the Eightfold Path, to actively walk that path, even when I'm sweeping the floor or doing laundry. Jodo Shinshu is a form of Buddhism that can be lived by all persons. When I look at this Obutsudan, I think about my Obachan. She came to California in the 1910s as a picture bride, the result of an arranged marriage by the Hiroshima Kenjin Kai. The man that greeted her at the ship when she arrived in San Francisco was to be the love of her life, who died shortly after the birth of their daughter. That man was not my Oji-chan. Obachan could have returned to Japan, but she decided that California was home. She had started a strawberry farm and was able to care for her daughter. However, the Hiroshima Kenjin Kai deemed that if she stayed here, she would need a protector to live with her. That man was my Oji-chan. He was over 20 years older than Obachan. He was 56 when my father was born. He died in his mid-1980s when I was 1 year old. In the 1930s, Obachan would visit her family in Japan, bringing with her pictures of her 4 children and home in California. She even had a picture of herself in a car with her family. Cars were rare sights in Japan in the 1930s. She wanted to show off what a good home she had made for herself. Well, life here was tough given the circumstances one endures as an immigrant, Obachan believed to the end of her life that she had had a good life. She had enough time towards the end to let her Mountain View Buddhist Temple Fujinkai friends know that they were part of her good life. The concept of how important a Buddhist home is became very clear to me at last year's World Buddhist Women's Convention in San Francisco. The theme of the convention was Live Nembutsu. I was able to greet the Gomonshu, the 25th generation descendant of Shinran and Eshinni at BCSF. When I asked Reverend Abiko, how does one host the Gomonshu? Reverend Abiko said, treat him as you would a guest in your home. At once the lights in my head came on and I knew what to do. I worked with Ayako to put up the Celebrating Buddhist Women display in the social hall. I picked up fresh flowers on the morning that the Gomonsho was to come, that Misae and Reverend Abiko turned into spectacular arrangements. Many BWA members served tea and cake to the nearly 100 guests that day. And greeted, and I'm grateful to our Japanese speaking members who welcomed and took care of busloads of visitors to BCSF prior to the start of the convention. It was a fun experience that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. That story is a story that I have shared with my children. The convention activities down at the Marriott were memorable as well. The Hopo Fukuoka Sister City dinner at Fogo de Cachao that the Bay District Buddhist Women's League hosted was interesting. This is a long-term connection that has been nurtured by our BWA for decades. Sadako and Yasuko went to Hopo Fukuoka about 6 years ago as Bay District Buddhist Women's League representatives. Yasuko has memories of when she hosted students from Hopo Fukuoka over 30 years ago. Many thanks to our members for their help in checking in all of our guests, and gratitude to Kevin and Keith for taking pictures. The convention had more moving parts than I could count. BCSF BWA members Elaine as president and Jean as treasurer of the Federation of Buddhist Women's Association, the host entity of the convention, did a spectacular job in organizing a truly memorable event. It was such a terrific event that I'm looking forward to the 2023 World Buddhist Women's Convention in Kyoto. Throughout all of the convention, we BWA members took care of each other. For me, that was the best part. To spend time with our members in sisterhood is truly unforgettable. At last year's BCSF, or BCA, home co-service at BCSF, something interesting happened to me. I had not attended a service like that before, with a specialized chanting of the Shoshin-ge by 10 ministers. The service was really long and the hondo was packed. Afterwards, while I was sitting waiting for the line to Oshoko to thin out, Reverend Hatanaka, Nishi Honganji's representative, bowed to me and said, "Thank you for making our work possible." Reverend Abiko said the same thing after I had Oshoko'd. I was kind of blown away by this and have pondered its meaning. Here's my take. In Buddhism, there's the person, Amida Buddha, there is the Dharma, the teaching, and there is the Sangha, the community. For Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, there is no community without women actively participating. BW has always and will be has and always will be one of the most active parts of our Sangha. Without us, there is no home. While we are not visibly at BCSF, deadly out of control pandemics have a way of causing one to modify the meeting place. We are meeting over Zoom on a regular basis. In fact, we only missed our scheduled April meeting. While our activities are socially distant, the feel of those activities remain the same for me. The place where I hold my BWA sisters is always the same in my head and my heart. The place that is my Buddhist home. FBWA recently announced the establishment of an endowed chair for the study of women in Buddhism at the Institute of Buddhist Studies, dedicated to Eshinni and Kakushinni. Due to the success of WBWC, FBWA will be a lead donor of this endowed chair. This is the future that RBWA will be working to make happen over the coming year, as well as our usual activities. While many see the present as dark and scary, when I think of BWA, I see points of light, the stars of my Buddhist home. Delightful, intelligent women who are a pleasure to work with. And all I can say is, let's keep going. Ganbatte. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amidabatsu, Namo Amidabatsu, Namo Amidabatsu.